Hi, I'm Chris Stevenson, and welcome to Inside View. And you should know this is my very first time doing a television interview, so I hope you'll forgive me if we goof up a little bit and maybe do some things that are unconventional, but it's my first time, so we're going to just jump right in, and I have a really cool guest today. His name is Don Swanson. He's from Twainhart, and he's founded a Facebook page that's just fascinating. It's called Gold Country Adventure and Exploration, and they do things that most of us would just say, no way, no thank you. They go into mines, they go into caves, they just go exploring, and it's pretty crazy. And so here's my guy, Don Swanson. So thank you for coming on in today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to come in.
I said that you are from Twainhart. How long have you lived in this area?
So I was born in Modesto, but I've lived up here all my life. I'm 26. I'll be 27 in a couple months here.
And how did you get into this caves and mine exploring?
I've always had a good interest in it. My dad, my grandpa, they both got me into exploring. It's just been a great hobby of mine, and lately I've been stepping the game up, sharing it with the public.
You have definitely been sharing with the public. 5,200 members of this Facebook group, which that's a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
And how long have you had the Facebook group?
Let's see. I made it in February of 2020. So a little over a year.
So a little over a year, 5,000 people in this general area of Gold Country of California.
Yes.
So you are a firefighter, that's your full-time gig, and your side hustle, your fun is going out and finding mines and caves. Do you have a preference, mines or caves?
You know, it depends on the day. Mines are fun because it's a lot of that gold rush history, but then again, caves are interesting too because it's a lot of really old history in those ones.
And you not only explore, but you research the history
Yes.
of these places when you go as well. So, which leads me to the question, like, how do you know where all these mines are? Because, folks, this guy goes everywhere. Places you don't know exist. He goes there. So tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. So it depends. I get a lot of passed down information. There's a lot of research through old mineral records. The state mineral resources, they have a lot of information offered that's publicly available. But at the same time, we spend a lot of time gridding as well. There's just a lot of time in the backcountry.
What is gridding?
So basically, it's patrolling the hills, cross sections throughout the area. That way we can kind of cover a big chunk of land. It takes a lot of time and it's a lot of hiking, but you get to see a lot.
So if you have a sense of there's a mine somewhere, but you're not exactly sure where it is, then you just form a grid pattern in the way you're hiking and you're looking for it?
Yes.
And what do you look for if you don't know what's there?
There could be a lot of signs. You could have obvious shafts or adits, or a lot of less obvious signs such as like tailings or waste rock piles. They could be just slowly moving their way down the hill, and sometimes the Google Maps and such. That's a good key into getting into it. So you can go through bird's eye view. I also have a friend who has a drone, and we use that a lot for locating stuff as well.
I got you. All right. So you used a couple of terms there, one of which I know, tailings. But what's an adit?
An adit is going to be basically an entrance to a mine that you can walk in.
Yeah.
And then compared to a shaft is going to be a vertical hole that goes straight down, or it could be inclined as well.
You go down shafts?
Depending. I get kind of hesitant because you can get real weird gas levels in shafts, just depending where it's at.
Okay, which brings me to safety. Isn't this dangerous?
Very, yes. I don't recommend the average person doing this. Safety's key. Never go alone. Have a gas meter. I highly recommend that. Tell someone where you're going, and always bring lots of water. You got to be prepared for this stuff. It's not for everybody.
So you don't take a canary down in the mines with you?
No.
Not anymore. You have
Not
a gas
anymore.
meter?
Yes.
So how does that work? What are you looking for? What gas is it metering?
The biggest is going to be oxygen. Next thing I worry about is hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, and then just anything else that could be a danger. Some of these mines can put off gases that you can't smell them, you can't see them, so you got to be aware. That gas meter is vital, and it comes in big play with this.
Really?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
what are your other safety concerns, or what are the types of things that you do when you're preparing to go down into a mine or cave just to be safe?
You always got to notify. Like, for example, my girlfriend, I tell her all the time where I'm going. I'll send her a drop pin. All right, here's where I'll be. I'll be out in the middle of nowhere, but here's an exact location. We'll be gridding this area today.
Yeah. When I go hiking, of course, everyone knows that you don't hike alone. Someone has to know you have to leave a plan with someone, so you do that as well.
Definitely. And then never go alone. Like I said, always bring extra people with you. I like to have 3 or 4 people at least, especially for caves, because some of our caves around here, they're quite dangerous.
Yeah. All right. So when you go looking for a mine, is it always in an accessible place that you're legally allowed to go?
Not so often. Yeah. There is a lot of stuff on public land, but private land has a lot too. I've been lucky to be invited to receive tours of private mines, which is great. I've received a handful over the last couple weeks that I've been able to go see, and lucked out because the public doesn't get to see it. So I get to go in and basically survey the mine and take note of its history and look at its historical significance.
Yeah. Sorry. So because you have the Facebook group now that has 5,200 members, you're probably getting a lot more leads.
Oh, yes, definitely. It's really broadened the horizons and gives me a lot of leads, definitely.
What are you going to do with all this knowledge of all of these places?
Well, eventually I'd like to write a book and put it all into a book. There's a lot of sources that are there's books about this, there's books about this over here. I'd like to combine it and put it all into one book, one encyclopedia of the gold country.
Yeah. Well, one would think you could make a little money off of that.
Maybe.
What you're doing is, well, it's maybe not unique, but it's unusual. And because of the history of the gold country, which is really just fascinating, you're going to have a really valuable thing there with a book, and I encourage you to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what is the geography, I mean, what are the limits of the boundaries of gold country that you explore?
Really, there's no limits. There's a lot of vertical country around here. It's worth the hike, definitely. You're sore at the end of the day, but you feel accomplished. There's a lot of isolated areas. Columbia, even out here in eastern Calaveras County, there's quite a few areas out here. Super isolated, but it's worth getting out to.
All right, so tell me about some of the cool caves.
So let's see here. Out in Tuolumne, we got a couple. I'm going to keep the name on the down low just to protect its location, but there's some of these, they exceed 1.5 miles deep into the earth, which it's amazing. It's just jaw-dropping to go into.
Then the air would get bad, I would think, that deep.
Yes. Yeah, the deeper half of the mine, I'd say the deeper 3/4 of it had it had low oxygen levels, so we were limited on the time we could spend in there.
Yeah. You keep a lot of these mines and caves secret.
Yeah, it's to protect not only the location, but it's also to keep people who don't belong in them out, because, like I said, this isn't for everybody.
Yes.
And if you don't know what you're doing, you can easily get hurt.
Yeah, I would easily get hurt for sure. As a fireman, you probably learned how to rappel and your first aid and all of those sorts of things.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so landowners sometimes invite you out so they know that they have a mine on their property? And
sometimes they know, other times not so much. I've gone out and found mines that they haven't even known about.
No kidding.
Multiple times.
All right, so what are some ones that are well known around this area that people might like to be able to explore that are kind of safe? You don't mind telling us about them?
Well, mines, I don't know if I'd recommend mines to the public, but there's a lot of caves around here. Millions of years old in these caves, and they're definitely safe as long as you have the proper gear for them. We have a lot of tourist caves around here. Moaning Caverns, California Caverns, Black Chasm, Mercer Caverns. Yes. Oh, yes. Those are all good ones to see if people are interested in getting a touch into it. And then there's also local caving clubs as well that you can get involved in, and they can get you into a lot more secluded caves as well.
Mm-hmm. So have you ever been in a cave that it became dangerous fast, like with a cave-in or bad air or injuries?
Luckily,
you got good stories?
Luckily, injury-wise, I haven't had anybody on my crew get hurt yet. We take safety as a big priority. We're always very careful with the oxygen levels. We don't really play around with the bad gases. If it's bad, we'll hightail out. Mm. There are a couple caves around here that are very unstable, and it was kind of questionable whether we should have been in them or not, but there's some amazing stuff in there. There's some of these mines, like they were closed, for example, there's some that were closed in 1942 when World War II was going on. And it's like the miners just left everything. So you walk in there, their carts are there, their tools, their helmets, everything is still in the mine in some of these. Oh. But usually those are going to be your more isolated ones.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So are you tempted to take some of these artifacts?
Technically, no, it's illegal, but no, it's not good to take because you want to leave that for other people to experience as well.
Yeah. Like if you go to Bodie, is it a state park?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
If you go there, they tell you they have left Bodie in a state of arrested decay. I think that's the term that they use. Is that the mindset? Is that your philosophy too when you go?
Yes, exactly. I prefer leaving things in place. That way, like I said, others can experience it because that's important.
Yeah. Do you see vandalism and graffiti sometimes in these mines and caves?
Unfortunately, yes.
How sad is that?
It's very disappointing to see, especially in the caves. There's formations in these caves that are thousands upon thousands of years old, and people either go in and take them or they carve their initials into it. It's not good to see.
Yeah. When you go to California caverns, you can see the initials of some of the early pioneers of this area that were encouraged, one, to snap off a stalactite and take it with them as a souvenir.
Yeah, unfortunately. That'll affect generations to come because those stalactites, they take a long time.
Yeah.
On average, it takes about 1 inch, 400 years to grow.
No kidding.
It's unfortunate to see the broken ones. But luckily, there's some isolated caves around here that have just magnificent formations in them that are untouched.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Tell me more.
So location-wise, they're secret, but they're hard to get to. Some of them you really got to squeeze into where you're barely fitting into the hole to get in. A lot of them are vertical as well, so that's going to limit people because a lot of people don't have gear to go down into the darkness, the depths of the darkness. So it just depends on the cave and the location, but there truly are some amazing treasures around here.
Yeah, most people would say, I'm not even going to think about going there because of the claustrophobia.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. I've taken a couple people to certain caves to test out their claustrophobia, and sometimes it doesn't work out well. They either look at the hole and say, oh, not going in there, or they'll be halfway in, and they'll kind of start to panic, and then we got to worry about getting them out, that's another safety concern. I don't want to bring people in where I'll be uncomfortable with them. Comfortability is important with this.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You lectured a group of school kids. Tell me.
Yes. A couple weeks ago, I was invited to a school here in Angels Camp, and basically talked about the gold rush, local mining activity, and mining safety, which is very important, especially for the younger crowd. There's a lot of open mines around here still, so if they know to stay out of them and what the hazards are of them, that's the key.
So is it possible? Now, I've done a lot of hiking in this area, and I haven't run across a mine. But is it possible if you're just going to cross country, in a place off trail, that you run into a mine that you may not know exists and poses a danger to falling in or caving in or something like that?
Definitely.
Does that happen?
I have randomly found mines when I'm not looking for them, just out for a hike. Oh, there's a shaft right there, and then I look up the location, check it out, and look it up, and then all the history behind it turns out it's a 580-foot shaft. You never know. You always got to be careful.
580-foot shaft. So
that's a small one, too.
That's a small one.
Yes.
So if there's brush covering it and you happen to step in the wrong places, are you telling me this is possible?
It's a possibility. You always got to be careful here in the gold country, especially if you're going to be out in the rural areas.
God, that is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, so this is what you do for fun. Okay. What else do you do for fun? You use the term gold country adventure and exploration. You've talked a lot about exploration. Are there other adventure things that are not caves and mines that your group does?
Oh, yes. We're not only underground, we do stuff above ground. We do a lot of backpacking trips. We're getting into that time of year where it's going to be perfect for the high country hiking, going out. The next goal for one of our adventures, we're going to be hiking from Highway 108 all the way up to Highway 88. So it's going to be probably a 2-week hike.
108 to 88. That's Sonora Pass to Highway 88 is Kit Carson Pass?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to cross Highway 4, and then we're going to continue our way north.
Along the Pacific Crest Trail?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So I've done part of that.
Really?
I did Ebbets Pass to Sonora Pass.
That's a good one.
Yes, which was, I think it was like 21 miles, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I've hiked a lot of nice places in the world, and that is spectacular.
Oh, it's beautiful up
and
there.
It's right here in our backyard.
Yeah, we're lucky to live in this area.
We are very lucky to live in this area.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Yeah, especially when you get to the Sonora Pass area, it's just quite spectacular.
Yeah, Sonora Pass, that's my favorite drive going over the hill.
Yeah, no doubt. You have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do. I don't have a whole lot of videos on there yet. I'm new to the YouTube scene. So I've just slowly kind of been working on videos, improving my skills with making videos. A lot of it's just recordings of my adventures.
How often do you go out?
Whenever I'm off, I try to get out as much as I can. It depends on the week and depends on my friends' availability as well. Because I don't like to go alone.
Yeah.
It's always good to share the adventure.
So about your friends, like how many go with you at a time, and do you make these friends through caving and mining, or are you dragging people out there?
Some of them I've been friends with all my life. Other people I've met through this group actually, and met some great people who have some great experience and some great skills, which come in handy with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'd say there's about 20 of us that regularly go out hiking together. It just depends on the group every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's got their jobs, but whenever you got free time, we'll take advantage of it.
I gotcha. Is it safe to take a dog with you?
Depending where we're going. I try to keep dogs out of caves and mines because you never know what's in there. Could be animals, which we've dealt with animals. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm really fascinated by how much research you put in, and as I look through your Facebook page, you will talk a lot about the history of this person or this place, and I'm just very impressed by the amount of research. And so tell me a little more explanation about the places that you go to research. Are these places that you find, these research methods that you find online, or are you going to the Historical Society and looking through their books?
I've used the Historical Society. Online is handy, and then I also have a lot of books on this area. Some older and some newer, but they cover a wide range of topics. So books definitely come in handy. Lots of reading.
And are there old timers in the area that you can reference as well?
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they got some good stories.
Yeah. You mentioned your father and your grandfather.
Yes.
Were into this as well.
Yep, they got me into the exploring, so it's a great hobby to have.
Yeah. So where are you going next?
Tough to say. I got a lot of stuff around here to see still. I focused mainly on Mariposa, Tuolumne, and Calaveras County, but I'm going to be slowly expanding out as time goes on.
Yeah. Have you gone to other places around the world as well?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was in the military for 4 years after I graduated high school, and I was stationed on a carrier out of Bremerton, Washington. So we made our way around the Western Pacific, Singapore, Korea, the Philippines, Guam, Hawaii a bunch, and San Diego a bunch as well. Mm-hmm. So got some traveling in, but I missed it here, so I came back.
And when you were in the Navy and you were traveling around the world, were you actively looking for adventures, mines, and caves and such there?
Caves and mines, not so much, but whenever we pulled into foreign ports, we'd always find the good hikes.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
And that's maybe better than just hitting the golf course in the mall.
Oh, yeah. You get to see a lot of amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all made me miss home.
Okay, so what's the number one favorite place? You don't have to tell us the name of it or where it is. Tell me about this place.
Well, there's a cavern. It's basically on the Tuolumne and Calaveras County line almost. I know that sounds like New Maloney's Reservoir that splits us because it's right there on the lake. Mm-hmm. But there are some amazing caves out there, and I love seeing them because a lot of they've been around longer than most things. I like referencing the pyramids. The pyramids are, 4,000 years old? These caves are way older. Some of them could exceed 1 million years old.
Yeah.
It's truly, magnificent to see.
Really?
Oh, yes.
And this place is near New Maloney's?
Near New Maloney's, yes. It's hard to access and it's hard to find, so the average person's not going to find it.
All right, so walk me through this. You find the place, and it might have been a grid that you used, or your drone, or Google View, and you find the adit. Did I use the right word?
Adit.
Adit.
Yeah.
You find the adit. What's the first thing you think of when you're going to enter this cave?
I always get excited because some of these mines and caves, they haven't been entered since the gold rush. Some of these more isolated ones. So you never know what's going to be in them.
All right. So you obviously wear a helmet.
Oh, yes.
You have your light.
Helmet, lighting, that's all important. Bring ropes, all that good stuff. Climbing gear, everything.
And your friends who you need for safety as well.
Oh, yes.
Your gas meter.
Very important.
Okay. What do you see when you first enter one you've never seen before?
Usually, I'm always looking for signs of any danger, animals, if there's tracks going in, is it stable, test the air, is the air feasible to breathe. It really depends on the area. Every mine is unique.
And that's one that's near Lake New Maloney's. When you first entered that for the first time, what was it you saw?
Beautiful formations. Back in the 1860s, it used to be a tourist cave. And there's carved steps that go down into this cave. And before it was a tourist cave, it was used by the Native Americans to get spring water out of because there's a creek that flows through it. So it's very interesting because I think the tourist cave aspect of it closed in, 1911 or 1912. And since then, it was abandoned, sitting out there, and it's magnificent in there. Formations that are just jaw-dropping.
Is this one the secret or
yeah,
not?
It's pretty secret. Yeah, it's for a good cause, though.
Yeah. Do the local people, I mean, are the old timers, do they know about this cave, or
Some
has it been
people
lost
I've
to
talked
history?
to. Yeah, some people I've talked to, they've heard of it, they've been to it, a couple people. And then there's a lot of people they've never heard of it or seen it or even know where it's at. So,
And is this on BLM land?
yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So nobody's going to own this thing in the foreseeable future.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
And the caves are protected too. The National Speleological Society, they monitor the caves around here, some of the more significant ones. So they keep close eyes on stuff to help monitor it.
Are there regulations then that you have to follow from this organization?
Anybody can really go there. You can join and be a member. Basically, the advantage of being a member is you get access to locked caves, which there's a lot of locked caves around that are protected for scientific reasons. So joining them would be a good benefit for getting into some really, really rarely seen places.
Well, how do you know who has the key to the locked caves?
Usually it depends on the club. There's a Motherlode Grotto. They maintain some of the keys for some of the more natural caves around here. Mm-hmm. But just depends on the day.
Is that something that you do? Do you have the keys?
I do not have the keys, no.
Yeah.
I've been looking into joining. It's just maybe down the road. We'll see.
Yeah.
I got a lot to find still that's not locked up.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Wow. And your girlfriend, does she go with you?
She's gone with me once into a cave. Actually, we did 3 caves, but they're all really close together. She enjoyed it, but it's just not her cup of tea.
Really?
Yeah. But she always enjoys the pictures and stuff I take, so that works.
Yes. So she probably has other things that she'd like to do that drag you along with.
Oh, yeah.
And you have a little tug of war. I really
it's
need
never
to
ending.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome.
Definitely.
I'm so impressed by the things that you do and the adventures that you do and the research that you do. You have a scientific bent to it. And you're writing the book, and it's going to go down in posterity with all the things you know and such. And what's next research-wise for you?
Research-wise, I have a very long list of items to look up. I'm going to be looking into the history of Bagme next, down in Mariposa County. That's going to be my next focus to research. The old mining town down there, yep.
I'm not even familiar with that.
Okay, there's nothing really left of it other than some foundations. It's down under the water now, down at the lake down there. So it's tough to find information sometimes, but on some of the mining towns, there's some decent records that you could still look up.
Yeah. It's almost like genealogy then.
Oh, yes.
Where you just go from place to place and learn more and more.
Yep. I enjoy reading about it and then actually going to the site and looking at it, taking it in personally.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to learn history, if you ask me.
I can imagine. Yeah. You're walking in the footsteps of the miners in the history.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing the work they did. Makes my back hurt just looking at it.
Yeah. Because they had some machinery, but it was a lot of picks and shovels.
Oh, yes. There are certain mines around here. They're very deep, and the entirety of them are dug by hand. You can see pick marks all the way through the tunnels, which it's just amazing.
Yeah. Do you also do you collect gold or look for gold, pan for gold?
Yeah, I do some placer mining. I go panning a lot. There's a couple places in Tuolumne County that I like regularly going to. Haven't found anything big yet, but over time the little stuff's adding up.
No kidding. All right.
Yeah.
If you were a parent with kids and you wanted to learn a little bit more, not necessarily go down to a shaft that's 1.5 miles deep, where might you recommend someone with kids take a look?
Definitely Columbia State Park. That's a good one. And then there's some really good museums. The Angels Camp has a really good museum. I want to say there's one here in San Andreas. I got to look into it more. I can't remember if there is one or not.
There's the Historical Society.
Yes, they have a lot of good information as well.
And you've been in there?
Long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah. And then if you're looking more into the mines, if you go up north into, I believe it's in Amador County, it's the Kennedy Gold Mine Museum. And
yes.
They have a huge head frame and then lots of mining history up there.
There are 2 mines in that area also, in tailing wheels.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
which,
yeah.
Explain to the viewers what tailing and tailing wheels are. And would you call it a head structure? I'm sorry.
Oh, the head frames, yes.
Head frame.
Yep. I believe that it's the Kennedy mine has the tallest head frame in California that's still standing. You can't miss it. You'll be driving up Highway 49 and it'll be off the right side. Huge metal structure. But and you mentioned the tailings. Basically, the tailings are pulled out of the mine. They're processed in a stamp mill, and then there's waste rock that's pulled out of there. And then usually those are going to be your big piles that you see spread around the mines. Those are good telltales to find the mines.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And I understand that the old miners used cyanide in order to extract gold from the tailings.
Cyanide and mercury was very common as well. Very dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
But
and did they just leave the mercury and cyanide laying in the ground?
Unfortunately, they disposed of it. Yep, just putting it in the ground, washing it down rivers. It's not good. Occasionally, sometimes you can find mercury still in some of the rivers around here.
No kidding.
Yep, and it's.
But I haven't noticed that this has become a health hazard in this area.
It's a lot of it was taken care of. I believe there was a lot of hazard abatement done. I want to say in the '60s that was targeted towards it. And then another hazard abatement in Tuolumne County, for example, is a lot of these mines. The county started sealing them up, but there's so many mines the county went bankrupt with their project, so they couldn't close any more up.
Wow.
I don't know how many they sealed, but they have they call them bat gates that they put on them.
I'm sorry, bat
gates. Yeah. Basically, it's a big metal screen, so wild animals can come in and out, but it's small enough so people can't go in.
Which begs the question: do you find animals in the cave? What do you see? What do you find?
A wide range of bugs, snakes, ringtail cats. I love seeing those. They're rare to see. I had one experience with a bear.
Tell me.
I was on shift, and I told my buddies I was on shift with, let's go for a hike. I'll show you where a mine's at. And it was real close to our fire station, believe it or not. So we went out and walking, and I was going to show them, okay, here's what a mine is, here's where it's at, in case we got to come here for a rescue sometime. We were walking up to it, and as we approached the adit there, or the portal, there was a black bear standing inside about 15 feet in. Luckily just standing there looking at us, but I don't play with bears. A bear's a bear, whether it's 200 pounds or 600 pounds. And we ran. I've never seen my fire crew run so fast before.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And the bear was probably more scared than you were.
I think so.
Yeah, probably. Wow. Ring-tailed cats. Not even familiar with a ring-tailed cat.
They're very rarely seen. They remind me of a cross between a raccoon, a lemur, and a squirrel. They have, I guess you could say, a cat. They're not really a cat because they're related to the raccoon family. They have a cat-like body, and then their tail is just like a lemur, where it's black and white striped. They're really unique looking.
You said rare, but how often do you find them? And do they live in mines and caves?
Commonly they live in caves and mines, yes. I've only seen 2 my entire life. Out of all the mines I've been to, I've only ever seen twice.
That's 2 more than I've ever seen. How about bats and bat guano? Do you see a lot of that?
Oh, yes. A lot of the caves. I've seen more bats in the caves around here versus the mines, but some of these caves, they're home to hundreds of bats, so...
Yes, I would imagine that there would be caves with many thousands of bats.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Which is a sight in itself, just to go to watch
impressive.
The caves. I mean, the bats leaving the caves at sunset the way they do.
Yeah, it's interesting, definitely. Yeah. You go into these caves and some people's headlamps, they have the red light, and you look up at the bats and the ceilings are moving around, and it's like, oh, there's a bunch of bats up there. So
now you're talking about another thing that's going to turn off a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not going to have to worry about a lot of people going into caves for that reason because of the sheer numbers of bats. And is not bat guano dangerous, like in the bacteria, viruses, funguses? I don't know what the...
Yes.
Yeah?
The bats do carry the... let's see. I can't remember the name of the virus. It's a virus that if you inhale it or come in contact with skin, basically it can cause issues.
Okay. Well, that's the end of our program. So Thank you, Don Swanson, for being here on Inside View.
Rolling.